This was everything you could have asked for in a fight for Ryan Garcia. He faced adversity, he conquered it. He won late, he did everything, Sergio, you would want a young fighter on the rise to do in his defining fight.
Let's throw some jabs.
You're a moron. That makes no sense. You're a writer, not a fighter, pencil neck.
Let's throw some jabs.
The fight starts now!
Welcome to Jabs on Dazn. Sergio, Ryan Garcia picks up a huge knockout win, but dude, afterwards I got yelled at by Devin Haney.
Yes, it was, and that's why I'm smiling, because it was your Larry Merchant, Floyd Mayweather moment. Basically, Devin was telling you, Chris, you don't know about boxing. I was loving every minute. I got on video.
His scorecards suck. His scorecards are the worst. I don't know who lets him make scorecards for his own. He's fucking terrible. His commentating is all right.
Yo, hey, he never gives you credit. But look, I'm gonna let you talk to Todd Grisham, because this man doesn't know shit about boxing.
I think I know a little. We begin with Ryan Garcia's knockout performance against Luke Campbell. After taking a knockdown himself in the second round, Garcia got up and stopped Campbell with a vicious body shot. Sergio, your thoughts on Ryan's performance?
I mean, we knew this kid's a star. We knew that he's a future champion, but he showed character tonight. He showed things that you're not going to find out about yourself until you go down, until you get hurt. He showed resilience, he showed heart, he showed courage, he showed that mean fighting spirit, that killer instinct that you see in few pretty boys like Sugar Ray Leonard and Oscar De La Hoya. That kid has it. That kid not only passed the test in flying colors, incredible performance, showed resilience, courage, heart, and charisma, smile. Wow.
You wondered coming in how Ryan Garcia would respond to adversity. He got knocked down the second round, got up, survived the round, and fought his way back into it. You wondered coming in, if coming off 2 first-round knockouts, how Ryan Garcia would perform in the second half of the fight. Luke Campbell, far more experienced in those situations. Garcia scored a knockout in the second half of the fight. You wondered coming in if Garcia could do more than just land big headshots.
Right.
He landed a crushing body shot that reminded me of the body shot that Bernard Hopkins landed on Oscar De La Hoya, or one that, say, Gennady Golovkin landed on Matthew Macklin. That was a vicious body shot, to the point that in the locker room afterwards, Luke Campbell, who has been in with some good punchers, including Jorge Linares and Vasily Lomachenko, said he'd never been hit by anyone that good before. This was everything you could have asked for in a fight for Ryan Garcia. He faced adversity, he conquered it. He won late, he did everything, Sergio, you would want a young fighter on the rise to do in his defining fight.
And right now that you're talking, I'm thinking about another great body shot. Roy Jones Jr., Virgil Hill. That's another one. It's just incredible what this kid is doing. To knock someone out with a body shot like that. Lomachenko dropped Campbell with a body shot. We've seen Campbell be hurt with body shots, but he's risen. He's gotten up. He couldn't get up from that shot. And I overheard Luke Campbell tell his team that's the hardest he's ever been hit. The hardest ever. This young fighter, this young star is punching and knocking guys out. That's 5 straight for Ryan Garcia and Eddie Reynoso.
Yeah, there was technique to it too. Garcia didn't just throw a wild body shot. He went to the head first, then down to the body, and succeeded with the knockout punch. After fighting just once in 2019, Garcia gets his first win on the second day of 2020, and that could potentially set up a huge year for the 22-year-old star. Devin Haney owns a piece of the 135-pound title. After the fight, Garcia called out Tank Davis, a 130 and 135-pound belt holder. Sergio, who would you like to see Ryan Garcia face next?
Well, look, the top of that list is Teofimo Lopez. In my opinion, hands down, Teofimo Lopez. Then it's Tank Davis, and now you got to say, before it was Devin Haney, now with a performance like that, we got to find out who gets that third spot. Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney? I think that's the fight we got to see next.
Well, look, any one of these fights, I wouldn't mind seeing. But if you look at it practically, for weeks, Garcia has been calling out Tank Davis. He has been saying, that's the fight I want next. Now, I don't know if Tank, Floyd Mayweather, they want that fight next. That remains to be seen. But it's clear Ryan wants that to be his next fight. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ledger, You've got Teofimo Lopez, who we saw in Dallas just a couple of weeks ago, or San Antonio just a couple of weeks ago, say, I'm ready to fight Devin Haney. He's yelling at Eddie Hearn, make a bid for that fight. Devin Haney, as he told me afterwards, and his father Bill said the same thing, said, we don't turn down fights. We'll take on anyone. What I'd like to see happen is to see Ryan Garcia against Tank Davis, which would be an enormously popular fight either on Dazn or on pay-per-view, and then Devin Haney against Teofimo Lopez for the undisputed 135-pound championship. Right now, you can make an argument that Teofimo is undisputed because the franchise championship is stupid, but that fight would yield the undisputed lightweight champion, and then the winners collide later in the year. Boxing, Sergio, doesn't often give us what we want, but man, I want that.
And those are makeable fights. Those are makeable fights with fighters that are eager to prove they're the best. We're talking about 4 of the best fighters at lightweight. These lightweights are knocking out fighters like heavyweights. I mean, usually we see this with the heavyweight division. We're seeing with fighters, young fighters, 23-year-old fighters like Teofimo Lopez, 22-year-old fighters like Ryan Garcia. These are young, hungry champions ready to prove to anybody and everybody that they are the best of the division. That's what boxing needs in 2021.
A lot of good divisions in boxing. Lightweight, though, may be the best one. The win by Ryan Garcia moves him into a mandatory position for the 135-pound title, but it is a stacked lightweight division. Sergio, where does Ryan Garcia's win move him to on your 135-pound list?
Well, I think I just said it, but I'm going to repeat it. Teofimo Lopez is number 1. Tank Davis is number 2. Now we got a battle for number 3. We got to see who's the man between Haney and Ryan Garcia, because I think right now Haney was very special, but what Ryan Garcia did tonight was incredible. To go down like he did, to show character, to show resilience, and still show speed and that killer instinct, to not be afraid to go for the knockout, continue to go forward. Man, we gotta see these 2 young studs, these well, Devin Haney's a champion, but these champions fighting like champions, and I gotta see who has that 3rd spot.
Look, Teofimo Lopez is unquestionably the top guy at 135 pounds. He beat the man. He has at least 3 of the belts, unless you want to include the franchise championship as 4. He is number 1 in that weight class. But I would say, Sergio, you can make an argument for anyone else to be number 2. You can say Lomachenko should still be number 2 since he lost what should have been a close decision to Teofimo Lopez. You can say that Gervonta Davis should be number 2 because he's undefeated. He's a big knockout puncher. You can say Devin Haney should be number 2. But you could also say that after this performance, Ryan Garcia should be number 2. Look at the guys I just mentioned, specifically Tank Davis and Devin Haney. Where would Luke Campbell rank on their opponent list? Would he be the best opponent either one of them has faced? Never won a world championship, but a 2-time world title challenger in the prime of his career, the most decorated British amateur in the UK history. I would argue that Ryan Garcia has the 2nd best win on his resume after Teofimo beat Vasily Lomachenko.
I was about to disagree with you until you brought up the resume, and we all know resume matters, and that name that Ryan Garcia just added to his resume is what solidifies that argument, because I wouldn't put Ryan Garcia in front of Tank Davis. I wouldn't even put him in front of Devin Haney. I would put him even with Devin Haney. But because resume matters, because that name, Luke Campbell, Olympic gold medalist, we know what he can do. He dropped Ryan Garcia. We've seen how he's going to react, and he showed resilience. He showed courage, all of the above. We got to see who's the best number 3, Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia.
Let me ask you this before we go. What happens to Luke Campbell after this? 33 years old, valiant performance, fought hard, dropped Ryan Garcia, just didn't have enough to withstand the power assault that Garcia put on him. Where does he go from here?
You know, sadly, that's one of these fighters that is never going to win a world championship, and I'm going to say that now because I think this was his last hurrah for a championship at 33 years old. I mean, he's an incredible, incredible talent. He won that Olympic gold medal. No one is able to do that. He fought Lomachenko in his prime. He fought Linares, came up short every single time, and now he came up short again with a fighter that's not even a champion yet. I think this was the end of Luke Campbell's championship career.
I wouldn't say it's the end. I think he probably has to go back to the domestic level for a little while anyway, fight some fights over in the UK, rebuild after a loss like this. But Sergio, we both know we're in the belts are everywhere division. And at some point, if Teofimo Lopez has them, he's going to vacate them and move up to 140 pounds. Luke Campbell could decide to move up to 140 pounds, where those belts are likely to become available at some point after the unification fight between Ramirez and Josh Taylor. So I think it may take some time. I still think Luke Campbell has a shot at becoming a world champion.
I hope you're right, because he deserves it. I hope you're right.
You deserve it.
I won a world title.
It was fake.
No, it wasn't.
Let's throw some jabs.
The